Hello and welcome to the DPN Rover car collection. As always, we appreciate you joining us. If you're an older viewer, been watching our videos for a time, or if you've just joined us as well. As always, we try and do as many videos as we can on the stuff we do to our Rovers, and also do some videos when they're at shows as well. And it's well worth taking a look back at all of our videos and seeing what work we've been doing on our Rovers and what shows we've been at with them. Don't forget you can check out our Twitter page and Instagram page as well. So I thought I'd do this little video on DAB radio, or how to add DAB to your well, really any car that hasn't got DAB you can do this too, but obviously we do our Rover, so we're going to do it specifically on that, but it could apply to any car that hasn't got DAB. As you know, I always like to have the original radio in the car. I think that always looks right. They certainly often suit the car better. In the case of this radio, the display actually comes through the clock, so it'd be a real shame to change that radio. And I often find that aftermarket radios don't last as long as the originals, and it's always obvious they're an aftermarket radio, and they often don't sound much better unless you're going to change all the speakers and everything else. And once again, unless you can find speakers that really originally fit into the spaces that are there, you've got to start altering the car about, which we don't like to do, and we're quite happy with the sound that comes from the original radios. We're not really ones for having music on our phones or wanting a modern radio, so you can have things like Apple CarPlay or Android CarPlay. And again, I often find in a couple of years' time, the chances are either your phone won't work with a radio, or the radio won't update and your phone will, and that won't work with it. So we like a much longer term solution. Also, a more cost-effective solution. And so what I've found, and we've trialled in two of our other cars, is a little really sort of DAB stick, a bit I think like when you buy sort of an Amazon stick for your telly, so you can have all the different apps for your telly player, or a Raku stick, or a Sky stick you can have, can't you? All those sort of things. This is a bit like a version for your car radio, kind of like they upgrade your telly to be a smart TV. That's the word I'm looking for. This upgrades your radio to be DAB, and it's more or less the size of a cigarette lighter, the one we're buying. It comes with the little device, your aerial wire, and one of those aerials that go up in the top of your window screen, which I will say I was not always keen on. And a long time ago, we did actually replace a radio in one of our metros for a DAB FM radio, and I bought a little device that split the signal, so the aerial on your roof did the FM and the DAB, and we found it actually didn't give very good sound quality. Well, not good sound quality, it didn't give very good reception for DAB, whereas these window screen aerials, although to me I can't work out how that can be better than a roof aerial, somehow they do seem to. So although you can kind of notice them, they're fairly discreet, and they do seem to work. The way we fit it is we have a little splitter box, as it were, that plugs into your cigarette light nice and neatly, and it's got 3 ports. One we have for our car camera, a spare one for like satellite navigation, and a hole specifically for our DAB radio. So what I'm going to do is get it out the package. You can have a better look at it now. Right, so I've now got it out the packet, and as you know, I like to, if I do install kind of aftermarket things, I like to sort of be non-intrusive, and something that could be easily be removed, so it isn't really affecting the originalness of the car, and also a low budget option because it could easily get damaged, break down if you're unlucky and your car got broken into. You don't want something too expensive if it was stolen, and also you want something discreet so it doesn't really notice what it is as well. And this kind of fitted all these bills. It's around about £30 on eBay. Now there are others you can get for that sort of price, but they're much bigger. Whereas what's amazing about this, it literally is like a cigarette lighter mains supply, but this is actually the little DAB radio. Off of it is a little fly lead that goes on to your aerial wire, and there's your windscreen aerial. You get a little instruction book. And this wouldn't suit everybody because there's no way of connecting your phone to this. I think there are some that do, and you can't put any presets into it, so you literally, there's a little turn dial on the side, and each time you turn it, it shows a different DAB station that it's managed to tune. Once you see it, you don't touch the dial anymore and it tunes into that station. It'll remember that as well, but you can't program it. Now for us, that suits us because normally we tend to only have one station tuned in, so once it's tuned in, we're happy with this. Just to clarify how it works, what this does is transmits a little FM signal, so you can actually then tune the radio into it, put it onto a preset. So technically you have your FM stations here, and one preset will be whatever DAB station this is broadcasting to. Again, I avoided these for a long time because I had found before with these FM transmitters that the signal wasn't very good, so you'd hear like a fizzing, but this one does work incredibly well. It's just got a teeny little screen there, and again, as I say, it shows you the basic stuff, the signal, the station you're on, it even has scrolling text, which is quite amazing. But as I say, it's just a straightforward, simple DAB radio that transmits an FM signal, and you can choose the FM signal, and you have to choose one that's obviously vacant in your area, and normally it's right at the beginning of the frequency. There's not normally any other stations there, so you set it to that, tune your car radio in, set that to the station you want, and you leave it alone. So yeah, there are some with bigger screens, some that connect to your phone. They're similar prices, but as I said, we wanted something that was small, neat and discreet, and didn't have any extra stuff like connecting to your phone or doing other stuff. We just want the straightforward DAB. So as I said, not for everybody, but for our application, it works really well because, as I say, it's simple. You don't have to do anything to the car, really. The only thing is fitting the actual DAB radio, but that sticks to the windscreen. Now, you do have to put this into the door pillar, which is where we're going to wire the aerial, and rub a little bit of the paint back and stick that on so it gets an earth. That's the only bit where you was kind of altering the car, but the way I look at it is, if you do it small enough, this sticks over it and seals it. And if you ever remove this, because it's not on view, you could just put some paint over that, and I think it's very unlikely to rust unless your car was leaking, and there are bits of bare metal in that pillar anyway, so it's not a major problem. That's really the only sort of alterations technically you do to the car. So the first thing we're going to do is get on with fit it, and hopefully as the video goes on, you'll be able to see it. A bit talk heavy initially, I know, but I just want to cover a few of those things. Now, having it in use has been quite useful because we have found a few things I've altered to get a better signal, and I'll show you that. And they could be a scenario that wouldn't be the situation for you anyway, but we'll show you that as the video goes on, the two things I've done to what appears to improve the signal when you're driving along. But amazingly, you very rarely lose signal anyway as you're driving along, and if you did, you've got the FM stations there that you can tune into anyway. But as I say, it does give you a nice option. Again, as I say, for a lot of people, they prefer listening to their own music through their phone, people don't seem to use CDs so much. We still use CDs, and we've still got tapes as well. So for us, the tape player and CD player in the cars still work. I don't really have music on my my phone. I've got some on my computer, but I just like to get in the car and have a mixture of music being picked by a radio station, or even some talk stations can be nice to listen to. So as I say, this works perfect for us. It might work for you, and I've got to do this video because this isn't necessarily so I would have necessarily bought, because it was of an affordable price as such. As I said, it was kind of worth taking the risk for £30. I mean, it's still a loss, but it's not like buying £100 or £200 radio or some sort of sophisticated smart device or Bluetooth device. This was worth the try, and actually it worked out a lot better. Now, there is a USB power supply, so you can plug something into it, but I would have thought for interference purposes you're better off plugging anything that uses USB into a separate plug socket in your system rather than running it off of this, and that just lets this have all the voltage it needs. It's not trying to turn 12 volt into what is it, the 5 volt you get through USB, as well as powering itself. I mean, it's more than capable of doing it. I've tried it, but I just think it's better to not do that. So the first thing to do is to get the air out. Now, what I do, although the aerial won't pick up as well, I plug it all in temporarily down here and just make sure this works, because if you've bought this and stick all the air up and find this was faulty, you've then got to take it all down just to send it back. So that's what I'm going to do, is just plug it in temporarily, check it comes on and picks up some of the strongest stations, and then we get on with fitting it. Right, so just to check it's working, you see we've got it plugged in our extension lead there, and I've just got the aerial hanging there from the sun visor, and that actually is enough in this area to get quite a good signal, which shows how good it is, because it's not even really properly earthed or fitted on the windscreen. And as you can hopefully see there, that's the display you get on the screen. It's found Greatest Hits Radio, which is one of the stations we quite like to listen to at the moment, and it seems to be strong in this this area. And what's quite nice about this is it actually, although it's not doing it now on this car because it defaults back to time, will actually show Greatest Hits Radio in that little display. So if I turn it up, you can hear it there coming through, and you can see how the display has shown it. Now, on a lot of cars and the other cars, it shows that all the time. This one has always defaulted back to the clock setting, which in itself is quite useful. So we now know it's working. The radio will tune into it, and also it's picking up station playing. So now we can get on with permanently fitting the aerial. Well, that's really the only bit that you do, and even that, the way we do it, is not literally permanent, but it makes it neat and tidy, and as I say, works for us. So I'll swap over to the passenger side, because what we do is stick it up in the passenger corner of the windscreen. That's so it's not in the way of the driver for your vision. We prefer to do that, and also it means the wiring can come down this pillar, run underneath the glove box, which I'll show you how we do it, and up into this little void here. So the first thing to do, and we've already started that, is to get this pillar down. Now, I normally find the easiest way to do it is to get your fingers in there and pull it down, then tease it along, and it just slides out, and we put that there gently on the dashboard. And as you can see, there's little metal clips, and basically they go in to these little holes here, so you're only gently pulling it out, and you'll see already the actual original car aerial runs down this pillar as well. And the second wire is our little car camera wire, and we'll have the DAB aerial running down there as well. It shouldn't be affected by this because it is a shielded wire, but I'll get into where I think the signal can be affected and how we appear to have cured that. As I said, it's only very weak signal areas. The rest of the time, even without doing what we do, it mainly picks up very, very well. So the first thing we do is temporarily put the wire along there so we can see roughly how it's going to fit into this position. We then wire all the wiring down and check everything's wired, it reaches and everything else before we peel off the sticky back double-sided tape, stick it on, because once that's on, it's on, and it probably ruin it, or it's never going to stick right if you have to put that back again. So we get that temporarily hooked along. Right, so what we've done is just temporarily got this poked through the wire there so it holds up, and then what we do is then run it under these clips here and under that clip there, and then down we go then with these other wires. And the aerial wire obviously goes across the dash, but our camera wire and this wire will run right the way down the side there. So I'll show you that next. Right, so what we simply do is, as I say, let it go right through down there, and then if we come along here, you'll see it's just poking out, and all you need to do is just gently put it along there. You can use a trim tool or your fingers, and there you see it's then dropped down there underneath the dash there, and it's just sitting down here. Then it can then run along the bottom of the glove box. So what I'll do is I'll do that and just show you how we have done that. Right, so if I take you underneath the glove box now, hopefully you'll be able to see that the wires are running underneath here, and what we've got is them hooked under both hinges each side, and hopefully you can see that one there. And also this underwadding is well, it more or less rests on the two hinges and clips up. We found it does sometimes come down, so we've put a tie onto a bit of metal that holds this up, and then I've put a nice little neat tie round the wire and onto that tie, so these wires definitely can't fall down. Nothing too permanent, but nice and secure as well. So if I bring you back up now, looking down at the glove box, at this point you're left with a little bit of access wire, so I've wound that in as loose a circle as I can, and tied it up to the car camera wire, and then that can just slot behind there. Obviously we'll cut that tie off to neat it up. That goes up behind there nice and gentle, and then the last bit of wire that's left we just push up under this console here, and you'll notice there's a little teeny divot in the carpet. It just comes out very, very nicely there, and can then go up into the little wire which is here, and that links the aerial to the DAB little module radio there. And the only bit you see is the little bit that comes up there, and once that's done nice and neatly, not too much of an interruption, but we've not drilled any holes or altered anything. As I said, you may want to fit it more permanent and drill holes through. We tend to not like to do that because you normally regret it, and if you do away with it, you haven't destroyed or damaged any of the consoles. That's the way we like to do it. The compromise is you will get a little bit of wire up that side. So I'd just like to come over to our other Rover 45 while I'm talking about running the wire, and to show you how we've actually done it on our other Rover 45s. Well, I wanted to show you the most simple and easiest way, and that's why I showed you bringing the wiring up here and in there. So you really can do it very simply, but there is actually a little hole in the back of the console that comes out in this alcove where the rubber mat is under the ashtray. And if I come down here and let it focus, you'll see that there's a screw there, and there's like a little slot, and you'll see that the aerial wire is coming out of that slot. So what you can do is actually, if I come in here, into the footwell, you can, with the wiring, go behind the centre console, and then you can threadle it up a little bit fiddly, but you'll be able to do it by feel, and you'll be able to feel that slot there from underneath, and thread all your aerial wire up, and also your camera wire as well can come through there. So then you can then slot your little splitter with the dongle back into that alcove, and you've got no wiring coming up here. So I thought I'd show you that as an alternative, but in the rest of the video on that car I've done it round here, because I said I wanted it to be a video about wiring up the radio, the DAB dongle, without having to do any damage or altering anything to the car, which you're not with that hole there, but obviously it is a little bit more fiddly. And there it is, all back in place, and as you can see, looking a lot neater without that wire coming round. But it is an alternative if you don't want to fiddle about trying to poke a wire up through that little hole at the back. And what we will do is do that on the car we're working on at the moment, and showing you the video. Our Blue 45, we'll wire it exactly like this one after the video's finished. So we'll get back on with the job now. Right, so now we've got that plugged in, that's not been put away completely neatly or tied, because there's something else to do here yet, and we'll move on to that as one of the later things to do. So now if I come back up to the windscreen, it's now time to fit our DAB aerial up. I try and get it as high to the screen as possible, with a little bit of a gap there on that aerial, and also I line it up with these little dotted lines. Now you've got the plastic cowling, so if you come too close to the pillar, the plastic cowling's not going to go back on, and what I found is if it lines up with those dotted lines, you've got just enough clearance, but also enough so that this little bit of copper tape or metal tape that needs to be earthed to the pillar can reach a piece of metal on that pillar. What I have done is clean the windscreen with a little bit of panel wipe to remove any grease, make sure it doesn't steam up while you're doing it. Be careful on lining it up, and simply just stick it on, and we found they stay stuck up and don't really move. And I've said this in a couple of my videos, if you wonder why there's a car cover on, it just shields the little bit of light, because it is very difficult when you aim up at the window, and it's still a problem, as you can see the camera's trying to focus. If you don't have this cover on, it's just literally complete light, and the camera will not focus on anything at all. At least this way you get a little bit of focusing on things while you're doing them. Right, so that's it stuck on. I've just put a bit of cloth there to give you a better view, so you can see how that aerial wire sits as high as possible, but not too high, because I did hear something about certain tinted windows, and this has got a slightly tint to the top, could affect it. Now our other car doesn't seem to, but there is aerial wire showing past that in case that is any kind of problems. As you can hopefully see, it's just on that dotted line, so the plastic trim should just clear it. Now all we've got to do is get this stuck. So what I do is draw round it so we know the outline, and then I can then rub back the paint in that little outline, so there's a piece of bare metal for it to get its earth. Right, so hopefully what you can see is that I've peeled back that piece of full tape, and I've drawn round it, so now I can just rub back a little area to expose the bodywork for the aerial's earth. Now I must say that the instructions that come with this radio don't quite make it clear, I don't think. This is what you definitely need to do, but from watching a lot of other videos, it is what you need to do. And also, when you know that's what you've got to do, when you read the instructions, that is what it's telling you to do, and it does improve the signal quite a lot when you're moving along. So yeah, hopefully you can see they've rubbed a little bit of paintwork off to expose the metal to get that earth in, and all I've used is a little bit of wet and dry to do that. Right, so as you can see, that piece of earthing tape is now stuck down, and it covers over the area we've rubbed down. And what I do to make sure is then put a nice piece of duct tape over that, because I think that makes sure it cannot peel up. It makes it look a little bit neater, and it protects it behind the pillar as well. So that just makes sure it definitely can't come unstuck and is stuck down, giving you a good earthing point. So that's one of the little modifications that I do. Right, so the other modification we do is that you may have seen that I coiled up the wire, the access wire there. Now, when I originally did it, I actually put the coil of wire down into this recess here, where the cigarette lighter extension lead is and the actual little DAB radio. And I think that having the coil hidden behind there actually did pick up some interference, because what we find is, and I found this with other devices, when you plug the car camera in, or even your satellite navigation down there, you can get a little bit of signal loss. So in a very weak DAB signal area, whereas it would continue to work, it will cause like the sort of DAB breakup you get. And as soon as you unplug the car camera, that stopped and the signal would go up to halfway rather than nothing. The area in at the moment is really good, so it didn't affect it at all. So we now coil up the access just down there. And the other thing that I do is, if you see there's a little bit of fly lead that comes out from the device, and then you plug the aerial in. Now, normally digital aerial, and I imagine this is the same, is shielded with a piece of foil. If you've ever opened up any sort of digital aerial wire, or even normal aerial wire will often have it now. There's like a foil shielding. Well, obviously where this plug is, that's not foil shielded. So what I do is put a little bit of insulation tape round, because you don't want anything to short out on that. Then I put a piece of foil tape round and then re-insulate it with insulation tape. And we've also found that stops any sort of interference in low signal areas, and also the signal is as good as FM for finding, you know, an actual signal that's listenable to. So they're the two little improvements we do. So I'm just going to get on with that now. Right, so you can see I've put some insulation tape across there. Now we've got the little bit of foil tape to go over the top of that joint. Now I can't see any reason why I'd need to unplug it. You can always peel the tape off if you do, but it's the sort of thing you don't really need to unplug too often anyway. So that shouldn't be any problem at all. I've no doubt some people say this makes no difference. It does seem to make a difference in our case, so that's what we're doing. So hopefully you can see the foil tape's on, and I'm now just going over the black insulation tape, and it more or less will not show at all. So the last thing to do is to put the pillar back, and as you can see, we've pulled the rubber seal down. Just tap it back, being careful. There's just enough gap for the pillar to get behind that little DAB aerial module, which is an amplifier as well, which I think is what helps the signal. And then it's a case of putting your rubber seal back onto the pillar, and then that part of the job is done. As you can see, we've got the wires nice and neat, a little tie there, and that's got to be cut, as of the ties under there, but I don't need to show that. I'll do that after I've finished filming. As I say, not for everybody, because I know some people would like to have it wired more permanently in. As I say, we don't like to, and this works for us. It's a lovely neat unit, as you can see, no more than really a little power transformer, not much bigger than the one that powers our car camera. And if you get the right little extension lead, you can have quite a neat little socket like that as well. So not too intrusive, nice and simple to use, and every time you switch the car on, it'll come on to the station you last set. As I said, very, very simple. You push and hold that button and it'll tune in all the stations in the area. You twist the outer dial to choose your station. You just keep flicking through. When you found it, it just tunes into that station. To get the right FM frequency, you push that button quickly, and then that same turn dial lets you choose a frequency, and then you just tune your car radio into it. And as I said, there you can hear it going. I've tuned that to button 5, and then the other stations are still the FM stations. So you've got your FM stations, but one is DAB. And as I say, on most cars you'll see the station name all the time, which I think is really clever, because essentially it is just like having an extra FM station, only that FM station can be multitude of others. It's a nice little display, which you don't really need to see most of the time, only when you're setting it up. But amazingly, it still does have some scrolling text. It tells you the frequency that you're transmitting on, and the signal level of your DAB radio as well. As always, thank you very much for watching. Hopefully that's been of interest to you, or of use to you, if you want to have DAB but keep your original radio without any sort of intrusiveness or doing lots of alterations. Now, the only other bonus I just thought I'd add in is that DAB aerial wire. I think it's a standard plug, so if ever one day you did want to change this to a DAB radio, your DAB aerial would already be fitted as well, because it's in there and working. I don't think that'd be the case for us, but it's there and ready for you. As always, thank you very much for watching.